President Bashar al-Assad receives a verbal message from Russian President Putin, conveyed to him by head of the delegation of the Imperial Orthodox Palestinian Society, Sergei Stefashin. Facts continue to unfold about young men being recruited to be sent as terrorists to Syria within the so-called French regiment. Three explosions target a police gathering in front of the Faculty of Engineering in Cairo, killing and wounding scores of civilians. Good afternoon, this is news in English from Syrian television in Damascus. President Bashar al-Assad has received a delegation of the Imperial Orthodox Palestinian Society, headed by the chairman of the society, Sergei Stefashin. Mr. Stefashin conveyed a verbal message to President Assad from the Russian President Vladimir Putin, expressing Russia's determination to continue its support of the Syrian people in all domains, and confronting the war they are waging against international terrorism that has been backed by some Western and regional states. President al-Assad voiced appreciation for Russia's solid stance in solidarity with Syria and satisfaction over the level of cooperation and coordination maintained between the two friendly countries. President Assad said that the important role Russia is playing on the international arena today clearly contributes to drawing up a new map for a multipolar world that realizes international justice and serves the interest of the states and peoples who hold on to their sovereignty and independent decision-making. President al-Assad affirmed that the Syrian people have no other option but to triumph over Takfiri extremists, though thought that has intruded into our society through steadily adhering to the characteristics of diversification, modernization, and intellectual enlightenment that has distinguished this society, the Syrian society, for decades. On his part, Stefashin expressed his country's condemnation of the acts of killing and terrorization that have been targeting all the components of the Syrian society, the last of which was the terrorist attack on Kasab province. He pointed out that the society he chairs collects donations for the dispatch of humanitarian assistance to the people of that region. Iranian Assistant Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian renewed his country's attitude regarding the support of security and stability in Syria during his meeting with the Emir of Kuwait, Sabah al-Ahmad al-Subah. Abdullahian said that there are regional sites which speak about arming the terrorist groups in Syria, thus deepening the crisis and spreading terrorism in the whole region. Abdullahian pointed out that Syria is leading a democratic path for solving the crisis through conducting elections. For his part, the Emir of Kuwait called for cooperation to confront extremism and find a political solution to the crisis in the country. One citizen has been killed and two others injured when two mortar shells fired by terrorists fell on the main entrance of Al-Fayha Athletic Hall building in Damascus. Another shell fell on the hall's garage, damaging 4 cars. Seven citizens have been injured and material damage has been inflicted on properties as a result of mortar shells fired by terrorists at civilians' houses and Abdullah bin Umar Mosque in Jaramana city in Damascus countryside. 2 citizens were killed today and 7 others injured in a terrorist attack by mortar shells on a funeral procession in the village of Dama, west of Suwaida. Terrorists fired several mortar shells on the funeral as it passed by, with the aim of killing and injuring the largest number of citizens possible. Facts continue to unfold about young men being recruited to be sent as terrorists to Syria within the so-called French regiment. The author of the book, French Jihadist, has warned in an interview with French 24 television against the danger of the return of terrorists to Europe.
Today, at the top of the list of European states that have been supporting terrorism in Syria, in terms of the campaigns carried out by extremist groups to recruit Frenchmen and turn them into terrorists and then send them to fight in Syria within the French regiment that comprises 80 terrorists. David Thompson, the writer of the book The French Jihadists, has warned against the repercussions of the terrorists' return with criminal thought that seeks to hit governmental and civilian targets in Europe.
Having been involved in supporting the terrorist groups with money and weapons, Western governments have started to express fears over the increasing number of its citizens who have been recruited in the ranks of the terrorists.
This situation has represented a controversial issue and a source of concern for the European society that holds their governments responsible for their involvement in supporting the terrorists. The way out remains to cooperate with Syria to get rid of the plight of terrorism that has spread across regions and societies.
Units of the Lebanese army continue to implement the security plan in the northern city of Tripoli. Units of the army entered the neighborhoods which separate between Bab al-Tabbani and Jabal Muhsin areas, removing barricades and roadblocks erected by armed groups in front of al-Nasiri mosque in the city. The Lebanese army also assumed strong presence in the areas contested by some armed groups as local residents expressed joy at the army's plan, which will eventually clear their city of armed terrorist groups and restore law and order to it. In Iraq, 6 people were killed and 17 others injured in 2 terrorist attacks. One of them targeted a military recruitment center in Kirkuk and the other targeted a police patrol in Karbala, south of Baghdad. The first attack was carried out by a suicide bomber who detonated his explosive belt at the recruitment center, killing 6 volunteers and injuring 14 others. The second attack was carried out by armed men, injuring 3 policemen, including an officer, in the area of Saif Saad, south of Karbala. On the other hand, Iraqi security forces found a large factory for explosive devices and car bombs in the farms near Bahriz, south of Baquba. And in Egypt, a police officer was killed and several others were injured in 3 terrorist blasts that took place at al-Nahda Square in front of Cairo University today. The Nile TV channel said that head of the security forces of west of Al-Jizah sector, Officer Tariq al-Mirjawi, was killed, while 4 others, including Deputy Director of Al-Jizah Security Forces, Major General Abdul Rauf al-Sayrafi, were injured when 3 explosive devices were detonated near a police gathering at another square in Cairo. Egyptian police and army are repeatedly targeted by attacks carried out by terrorists linked to the banned Muslim Brotherhood as part of a scheme to stir discord and chaos in order to destabilize the country. Erdogan's police used force to disperse massive demonstrations in several Turkish cities in protest against the faulty results of the municipal elections held recently, especially in Ankara and Istanbul. Riot police fired water cannons in Ankara to disperse thousands of Turks, demanding a partial recount of national polls as the opposition said it would contest some of the results. The protesters, calling for a recount of the Ankara results, which was particularly close, gathered in front of the Supreme Electoral Council chanting "Thief Erdogan, hey, no official results," have not yet been announced according to official sources, but the tally published by the Turkish media put Erdogan's party on around 44% of the nationwide vote to 26 till 28% for the opposition. Meanwhile, an Istanbul park that was at the center of weeks of anti-government demonstrations opened for a few hours, but Turkish authorities quickly closed it and fired a water cannon, tear gas and rubber bullets at protesters heading to the area for a planned rally. The Istanbul Bar Association said that around 30 demonstrators were rounded up and others were injured. With this, we come to the end of our news for today. Thank you for watching. For more details about Syria and the region and to view this bulletin again, you can always visit our website in English, www.syriaonline.sy. Stay with us, the latest in the world of economy, in our economic news, but after the break.